The atmosphere at WrestleMania 40 was electric as the underground match between Braun Strowman and Bron Breaker was about to unfold in WWE 2K25, with a gritty, dimly lit Fight Club setup replacing the usual glitz of the grand stage. The crowd surrounded the makeshift ring, a squared circle stripped of ropes and turnbuckles, encased by steel barriers and concrete floors, embodying the raw and unforgiving nature of the contest. Braun Strowman, the monster among men, made his way through the smoky underground tunnel, his heavy boots echoing with each step as the audience roared, knowing the destruction he was about to unleash. Meanwhile, Bron Breaker, a man who had already carved a reputation for sheer explosiveness, stomped into the underground pit with a menacing glare, his muscles twitching with anticipation, ready to prove that he was the new face of power in WWE. As the bell rang, the fight exploded instantly, with Breaker charging like a missile, spearing Strowman straight into a steel support beam, the impact reverberating through the underground arena as Strowman let out a thunderous growl of pain. Not one to be dominated easily, Strowman retaliated with a massive headbutt, sending Breaker staggering back before launching him with a brutal belly-to-belly suplex onto the concrete, the sickening thud silencing the rowdy crowd for a moment. But Breaker, showing his resilience, rolled through the pain and rushed back at Strowman, tackling him into the steel barricade with an earth-shaking force that nearly toppled the structure. The two behemoths exchanged raw, unfiltered strikes, fists colliding like sledgehammers against each other's skulls, blood beginning to trickle down Breaker's forehead from a stiff shot by Strowman. The fight spilled outside the immediate ring area, with Breaker hoisting Strowman up in a gorilla press and throwing him onto a stack of wooden crates, splinters flying everywhere as the monster crashed through. Yet, Strowman refused to stay down, rising like a horror movie villain, grabbing a steel pipe from the wreckage and swinging it viciously at Breaker, who barely managed to evade, countering with a massive clothesline that sent Strowman flipping over a concrete ledge onto a lower platform. The underground audience chanted in awe as Breaker climbed up, leaping off the structure with a flying elbow that drove his entire weight into Strowman's chest. The referee, barely keeping up with the chaos, watched as the two titans struggled to their feet, both battered but refusing to relent. Strowman suddenly caught Breaker mid-strike and sent him crashing into a wall with a running power slam, dust and debris filling the air as Breaker's body left a dent in the structure. Yet somehow, Breaker roared back, delivering a brutal spinebuster onto the unforgiving ground, his adrenaline carrying him forward as he lifted Strowman once again, this time for a devastating military press slam straight onto a steel platform, shaking the entire underground pit. Strowman writhed in pain but still reached for Breaker's leg, dragging him down and smashing his skull into the concrete with repeated headbutts, both men now bleeding from open wounds yet showing no signs of quitting. With one final effort, Breaker locked in the Steiner recliner, wrenching Strowman's massive frame back as the audience gasped, wondering if the monster among men would actually submit. But with an earth-shattering surge of strength, Strowman powered out, hoisting Breaker onto his shoulders before sprinting full force and delivering a running power slam onto an exposed metal beam. The impact was catastrophic, Breaker's body going limp as Strowman collapsed beside him, the underground arena now a scene of absolute carnage. The referee counted as Strowman draped his arm over Breaker, and with the slow 3 count echoing through the pit, Braun Strowman was declared the victor. He staggered to his feet, blood dripping from his brow, raising his arms in triumph as the underground crowd erupted in appreciation for the war they had just witnessed. Breaker, barely conscious, looked up at Strowman with a mix of defiance and respect, knowing that on this night, the monster among men had reigned supreme in a battle that would be remembered as one of the most brutal, jaw-dropping underground fights in WWE 2K25 history.
And something that the superstar discovered.